Hi guys, welcome to Learning Electronics Repair. I have something here to review that you guys might be quite interested in. This should have arrived before Christmas but got stuck for about 2 or 3 weeks in customs for some reason. And it is an SMD soldering station. Okay. So this is what we have. This is the soldering station knowledge you must know. So it comes in a little book with lots of knowledge, Confucius says in Chinese. Oh, no, it does actually say it in English also. So, it's just, yeah. We'll look at it if we have to, yeah. Okay, so we'll put that on one side. It's a T26 manufacturer certificate. T26 after sales precautions. Okay, put that on one side. We can have a look at the manual. How do we get this out of here? Slides out, not too difficult. Okay, so we have a few languages, I guess. English, yeah, English. The soldering station, 120 watt peak power, 160 watts. I don't know if that's the wattage of the soldering tip itself. Okay, how to set all the various things you'd want to set. Fine, so we have that, but I'm sure what you would really like to see is the soldering station. And you know what? So would I. Ah, comes nicely packed. This is the handle. Oh, we have a whole selection of tips. And then this is like a T12 type thing, but it's not T12. Another one. So we have quite a few accessories with this. Earth clip, oh that's nice. So you have an earth connection on the station itself, not just relying on the earth on the mains. And this is the actual soldering station, and I'm telling you now guys, it's heavy. I can tell you now, this feels like a good solid professional piece of equipment. I'm surprised at the weight of this. Maybe it has a linear power supply, that's why it's heavy. Maybe that's a good thing, yeah. Okay. And there she is. Sugon T26D ESD safe. Has the little wire type cleaning thing. Okay, space for the soldering line. Let's put this together and let's have a look. And here we have the assembled soldering station. This soldering station was sent to me by PhoneFix. They are a supplier of many electronic repair parts and tools. I will show you their website in a moment because there are some accessories for this soldering station, but I'll just briefly introduce you to it. So this takes a JBC or a OEM JBC handle, and the one I have, this is the C210 handle. It was supplied with 2 tips. One of them is an actual JBC. If I put it there, you can probably just see on it actually. Yeah, there, JBC. So this is a genuine JBC tip. And we can push it in. We have a little thing here just to push it in firmly if we like. And there we have our soldering iron. This type of tip is meant for precision SMD soldering. And the iron fits very nicely into the stand. I also have with this another tip. You can remove these, you can pull them out, or if you just put them in here, you can do this with them. The other tip is actually a clone. So this is a JBC clone, Magma 210. We have an inserter in here, so you can actually stand the tip in here if they are hot. Okay, push down. And then you can push it into here and that locks it in place, okay? So that's how you fit the tips. So this one is a clone tip. It's basically the same type. And I asked for this particular combination so I could compare the performance of the clone tip with the original. The station also comes with these little add-ons. There were no instructions with these, but it appears you can fit them over the clone tip. They will not fit on the original one for some reason. It doesn't quite fit in, but these click into place like this. Because the idea of these irons is they have an integral heater, I'm not sure whether fitting a tip like this actually detracts from the performance compared to a tip with effectively that end in the first place. But we can try some of them, so we have those. They have a little notch in them, you can probably see without me zooming down, so when you do insert it, it stays in the same place. It won't twist around. There are a few interesting things about this station. One is that the soldering iron actually plugs into the back of it, which to me is quite unusual. It has a plastic 6-pin DIN connector in there, and it fits in. Also with the station is an earth lead, so you can actually connect this to the soldering station, and this is an additional grounding point. Okay, so you have a ground, you can clip this to a ground or to ground something. And there are a few other interesting things about this soldering station. One is that it takes different handles, so you can put the JBC or JBC clone handles in. It takes the C245, which are a larger tip and a higher power, I believe. It takes the C115, and you can also get a handle that will take standard T12. Some of the handles are available on the PhoneFix website, so let's have a look now at this station and at the accessories we can get for it. Here is the PhoneFix website. As you see, they have a large range of mobile phone parts, consumables, stencils, irons, tips, nozzles, all sorts of tools, phone repair tools, power repair tools. They really carry a very wide range of specialist equipment and parts for mobile phone repair, but a lot of these items are also very useful for other types of repair work as well. This is the handle we were just discussing. So this is a C245. The model I have actually has the C210 handle. You can see the price are very similar, or you can actually buy two handles, €27. So if the handle does break for some reason, like the plastic DIN connector on the end, it's not difficult to get another one. The soldering station itself is a T26D. This one. If we look at the specifications, we can see this is an 85-watt soldering station, and it mentions 2-second rapid heating. So that's an interesting thing. We'll have a look at that. And you can see the price. These are with 3 tips. The one I had came with 2 tips, available either in 110 volt or 220 volt. This is obviously a professional piece of equipment, but that price is certainly not overly expensive for equipment of this caliber. Compared to JBC branded, in fact, it is very inexpensive. Of course, we need to test this to see how well it works. And we can see the cost of these are the original tips. The clone tips are somewhat cheaper. Before we test this, I'll just mention a few features that I know this has. When you put the soldering iron into the holder, it actually cools down to a standby temperature. And when you take it out, this is where the 2-second heating comes in. So by the time you get to the device you're actually working on, it's up to temperature. That helps to extend the life of the soldering tip. We have a little copper or brass pad here to wipe the tip on, and also inside here is like the brass wall, so you can push the soldering iron into clean that way. We've already had a quick look at the tip holder remover. Another thing, and you've obviously seen it straight on the top of here, so it has this effectively like a boost mode, turbo mode if you like. So I would normally set my iron to around 350 degrees, somewhere in that region. Certainly with the T12, I'll try this one a little bit lower first and see how well it works. But it has this option whereby you can boost it by just touching this. So you're doing some soldering, it's not hot enough, touch that and carry on, and it boosts it by 80 degrees for 15 seconds. I'm assuming these are degrees centigrade because that range is correct for centigrade, basically for lead free. I'll probably try the iron set at 320 initially, and we can have a play with it, and we can have a play with the boost facility. What I really like about that is when you work and you want to boost, you just do that. You haven't got to mess around pressing buttons. You just literally do that, and I think if that works well, that's a really nice feature. The front panel is very simple, so we just have temperature up, temperature down, and 3 presets. And really that's it. So let's actually have a look and see how this works. Let's switch this on. Oh, and it goes bleep. And we have on the front display, you can see it, I have to stand it up for the camera to see it, but we have channel 1, 300, 350, 380. I'm thinking this probably sets the temperature which we want to go to. Oh yes, that's changing the preset temperature there. Yeah, 350. If you hold the button in, it increases the temperature rapidly. Let's take the iron out and let's see what it does. Well, how about that? And the smoke came from it, yeah. They're certainly not kidding about the 2-second warmer. Okay. And there the temperature is just dropping off now. It's effectively going to a standby mode. I think it goes back down, is it to 150? But let's see what it actually does. Yeah. Let's go for the highest temperature, 380. Let's see how fast it is. Yeah. I will not argue with that being 2 seconds. Let's go for the middle temperature of 350. And let's actually try it. So this is the PCB I was using last time when I was testing a soldering iron. This is meant for precision work, but I will just try it. I'm interested to see if it will desolder the large joints. And in fact it doesn't, but there again, that's not what it's really designed for. Let's try the boost thing. So we touch this on here. Oh yeah, the temperature's gone straight up. And now it will desolder that. But this is not really what this soldering iron is designed to do, okay? You can see it's going back down again automatically. Hope that came out okay on the camera. Just wipe the brush, or we can just pop it in, okay, nice and clean. Let's just try that again. So we'll just get rid of this wire out of our way. So touch on there, you see the boost come on. We're in. So it will actually desolder large parts like that, although that's not the primary intention for this type of soldering station, or at least for this type of tip. Okay, let's try the little cleaner again. Yeah, nice and clean. Let's now do something this was intended to do. So we'll try my usual methods for desoldering SMD components. Let's try one of these resistors along here. Okay, that's these things. These are quite small. I'll go for this one because it's the easiest to get at. So I would normally put some flux on. This heats up so fast. Add a bit of leaded solder because it makes it easier to desolder. And then we'll try to unsolder this. We'll need tweezers. I will get hold of the component and let's see if we can unsolder it. I will put some solder onto the tip. This is how I would normally work. I've only recently learned to use a knife tip, but I'm getting quite used to them. Okay, get hold of the component. And it's, oh yeah, that was off straight away. I mean, it's stuck to the actual tip, which is quite common for that to happen when you're unsoldering. But we do actually have there the component. So yeah, I mean, without a doubt, that was fast. Let's try another one. I'll see if there's enough flux on this from the previous one I've just done. I'm doing this without any form of magnification. Okay. Definitely wants a bit of flux, but that's normal. Okay. A little bit of fresh solder on the tip, and let's just grab hold of it. Okay, I have it. Yeah, off it came. Again, it's stuck to the actual iron. It's there. Okay. So these are very small SMD components, and it's happily desoldering them. Put the iron back in. Yeah, and there it goes back into the low temperature. Let's try something larger. One of these capacitors. Let's see if it can do it. Okay. Yep, let's put some solder on. Some solder, no problem. Once again, we'll use the same technique. It desoldered. It took a little bit of time. This soldering iron is clearly intended with this tip for very small components, for very precise work, but it will remove the larger ones. I see something really tiny here. Let's have a go at it. So we have a very small component here, a very small capacitor. I will use the thinner solder this time. Okay, and as I said before, this is without any magnification. I'm going to give it a little bit of a boost. In fact, I should have tried that on the previous one actually, just to boost the temperature up a little bit. This must be a particularly heavy ground plane here. Try a little bit more solder. Yeah. Little boost. Doesn't want to get that one, does it? Okay, now we have it. Let's just try the larger capacitors again. This time we'll use the boost, which I didn't last time, but it did desolder it. So as before, flux, add some solder, okay, and let's try to remove it. So we'll just touch that on there, that's all you need to do. And off it came. Yeah, that came off much easier. That was using the JBC clone tip. Let's fit the original JBC, which is this one. Okay, and let's see if it performs the same or any different or better or worse than the clone. This is quite easy to remove then. We just pop it in here and pull it out. Then we can insert the other one. Just move that away from my fingers a little bit. Okay, let's try it. So just push down on it. I have it. Push it into this little slot and in place. Yeah, and it's picked it up, no problem. This probably looks very dim on the camera. It's actually perfectly viewable. Okay, so there's our genuine JBC tip. Let's see what this does. I think I will start with the larger components again. Exactly the same as before. Bit of fresh solder. Either side. A little bit of solder on the tip, and we'll try it. I have to say that came off much easier. I didn't expect to see any difference, but it did make a difference. Unless I'm just getting better at using this, but that came off considerably easier than using the clone tip. Go for another small one, like this one. And that was without the boost as well, by the way. You notice I did that without boost. I'll try it with boost in a minute. Just a bit of fresh solder on it. Okay. This one appears to have a heavier ground plane in the area, so we'll use the boost like we did with the other one. Boost, fresh solder, let's go for it. Yeah, that's off. There it is, you see it? There, okay. So there is no doubt this can do the job, and from my just a very quick experimentation, the original tip seems to work considerably better than the clone tip. Here we have some resistors. These are quite small, so let's try the solder one and then resolder it back on, or if it goes AWOL we can just find another one of the same size and solder it. Okay, so let's have a look. I'll just put a bit of flux as before. I'll add some solder. I'm not used to working with this USB microscope particularly, I'm more used to the binocular one, so let's have a go. Well, I've definitely added some solder to both ends. Okay, let's try and remove this, and we'll get the tweezers. We'll put a nice bit of solder on the end of the iron. Okay, and let's try to remove it. Okay, that came off very easily. Actually, I didn't pick it up, but that was my fault, not the iron's fault. Okay, and there I have it. So there is the resistor. Let's remove the other one. This time I'll try it with boost. That was without boost. So the same process. Bit of flux. It seems with this type of tip you need to come in sort of sideways to get some solder on the end of the component. Okay, same from the other side. And that actually was desoldering. It was coming off even before I got the tweezers on it. That was coming off. Let's try it from this way. Yeah, forget about the boost, guys. That just came off, yeah, nicely. I'm obviously getting a little bit more familiar with this. Bear in mind, I've never used this iron before, but with a little bit of familiarity, like I've used it half a dozen times, I'm just getting very comfortable to use. Okay, so let's see if we can actually solder something back in here. These tweezers are not very good. One's broken. Let me try and find some better ones. Yeah, these are a little bit better, I think. Okay, we'll put it this way and try to solder. Normally the way I would do this is to clean the pads first. So we take a bit of solder braid. Light flat. Yep, that clean, no problem at all. I'm getting familiar with this knife tip now. And then I would put a little bit of fresh solder on one of the pads. We'll go with this one. Yeah, that was nice. And then I'll introduce the components. Okay, so I have one clean pad and one with a blob of solder on. A little bit of fresh flux. Can never have too much flux, to be honest, for this sort of work at least. We'll take the resistor. And we'll introduce it into the flux towards where the solder is and hope it doesn't stick on the end of the tweezers. Okay, just slide that in there. And now I can effectively hold this down and push it at the same time while I bring the soldering iron in at the other end, melt that bit of solder, and it should solder in place. And we have one end of the resistor soldered down. What I normally do now is take something flat, a blade type thing, Vero board cutter. If I lay this on top of the resistor, okay, and melt the solder again, it should push down nice and flat to the board. And there we have a nice soldered joint. Okay, and then the other side is easier. So once you've got one side, the other side is the easier one. Bit of fresh solder on the tip. Hold the thing flat. Hold the resistor flat, and again we'll come in from this side. Okay, let's clean that up with a bit of isopropyl and let's see what we have. And there is our resistor R177. It's obviously soldered well. I'm just tilting it a bit. Let's just focus that. Yeah, let's do a bit more like this. So you can see it's sitting flat or close to flat. It's obviously soldered nicely. It may not be perfectly flush to the board, but to be quite honest, R152 there, which is machine fitted, is no better really than the one I soldered by hand. So I have to say, yeah, without a doubt, that was a success. Let's have a quick look at the attachments. I did mention earlier that these didn't seem to fit on the original tip, but I've noticed now, for whatever reason, after using it, this being the original tip, that they actually do fit. It just seemed they didn't want to go on. So we have in here, if we look, we have some larger blade type. We seem to have two of those, two conical and two of the curved conical ones. This is a type of tip I've not particularly used before, but I do believe it's rather useful for drag soldering. So we can have a little try with this one. You'll see that it does actually fit onto the original tip, like so. Let's see how well this actually works in practice. This is a scrap board. I've had a few attempts already because I've not used this type of tip before, so I just wanted a little bit of practice. At the end of the day, practice is what we all need. So let's see if I can now just show you this. So we'll put a bit of flux down the side of the chip. We will take the curved tip and we'll angle it so that the flat side of it, the base, is effectively down. I'll just put a tiny little bit of solder on this. I don't need much, a little bit of solder on the end of it. And then I'm just going to effectively just glide across the chip. I'll put the boost on, okay, and then let's have a go. Okay, and I got it pretty well. I actually got a little bit too much solder on the end there, so I can just wipe the tip off and we can just come back and have another go. This will probably remove it. If not, a little bit of braid to tidy up. So I'll just put it back onto boost, take a little bit of braid, and this should remove the excess solder. Okay, same at the other end. Okay, mostly got it now, just a little bit there. Yeah, and that's clean. You can just kind of like wipe away any little bits of solder that are on there, excessive bits, okay? So I've not used this type of tip before, but it does work. However, what I have noticed is they're not very secure. When you're dragging like this, it's quite possible that the tip will just fall off. Yeah, you can see that? So in my personal opinion, I think you'd be far better off with an actual tip of this type rather than putting the collar onto this. Having said that, I do find this tip rather interesting to work with. I've tried one before. This is a T12. This is the J02. And I've tried this to do drag soldering, never had much luck with it. But these are quite a lot finer and I think this would work well. So I will definitely buy a correct JBC tip of this type. I think it would be actually very good with a little bit of practice for that type of work, and certainly better than this one. So guys, we have to have a conclusion to this video. Firstly, I've never used a professional soldering station like this before. I've been using my T12 for about 3 years or more now. I'll just actually compare this with my KSGR. So this is my T12, okay, and this is the Sugon. The first thing I've noticed is that the working distance of the tip is actually shorter, okay. Well, this is a tip designed for fine soldering work. The C210 is effectively for fine or miniaturized components, soldering SMD, whereas this is a BC3 on the T12. It's more a general purpose soldering tip. This definitely has a shorter working distance, but it's not so much difference that you would really make a big deal of, okay? But because I'm used to using this and I just couldn't use the ones with the long tip sticking out of them anymore, soldering irons, I found this extremely comfortable to handle. In fact, it's probably more comfortable with this sort of foamy sleeve on here, okay? This is clearly not a budget soldering station. If you're going to buy one of these, you are either a serious hobbyist or you have a serious use for it. Having said that, for what it is, I don't think it's particularly overpriced. I haven't looked for any competitor ones to see how they compare in price. But you know, if I was in the market to buy a soldering station and I bought this one for the price I know they sell at, I'd be happy. Definitely would be happy with this. I'm certainly interested enough now to get some more handles. The C115 is effectively a finer tip than this. It may be shorter, I don't know, but I can get the handle. They're not too expensive. The C245 is more a general purpose soldering handle, and it has tips like this, which is what I like to use. In fact, you've no doubt, if you've seen the channel, seen me do micro soldering with this, even on sort of 0201 or 0402 SMD components, and I can actually do it very well. Maybe I've developed my own technique, but I actually handle it very well. But I'm very interested to see how this would work with a more general purpose handle. So I will definitely get my hands on a C245. I may get the 115 as well, just to see. The other thing I'm very interested in is getting the T12 handle for this and seeing how it performs. I have a lot of T12 bits, and I'd like to do a direct comparison between this and my KSGR to see if you are using T12, does it make any difference? You will definitely be seeing more of this soldering station then as soon as the other tips arrive, in particular, which may take me a month. This will be getting used frequently alongside the other one, and I think only time will tell. One thing I will say, and maybe this was just by chance from this tip that I received, but the genuine JBC appears to work considerably better than the clone tip. Maybe it's just this one, maybe not, but I would personally, although they're more expensive, I'm going to keep the station, I would buy JBC tips. More money, but I think it's, from what I've seen already, I think it's worth it. Okay guys, hope you enjoyed that one. I am absolutely 100% sure you will be getting into the comments below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. And for now, I have an interesting addition to the channel, and I hope some of you guys will consider buying this sort of soldering station. I don't think you'll be unhappy with it at all. Another thing I really like about this is this fast heating. So you pick this up, it's 2 seconds. And this little boost block, you just put the soldering on, you don't need to put the ends. You saw me doing it. I just literally placed this here and straight away boost. The boost is very fast, and 15 seconds is ideal. I'm absolutely 100% certain that there will be comments below. Yeah, you guys, what's your opinion? Especially if you've worked with these sort of soldering stations before, how do you think this one compares with what you've used? For those of you who've never used one, guys, if you have the option to do it, a bit of Christmas money left over, it's a joy to work with. I have to say, it really is. Okay, I look forward then to hearing your comments. Let's have a nice chat about it. Yeah, let's keep it friendly, but we always do. And I'll see you all soon on another Learning Electronics Repair video. Ciao for now, guys.